welcome to this explainer. Today we're diving straight into the 19th century abolition movement, looking at it through the lens of a really specific educational source. We are going to explore how a dedicated, fearless group of individuals literally stood up against the practice of owning human beings, and how they fought tooth and nail for freedom and justice.
Now, our source material actually grounds all this history in a pretty powerful biblical mandate from Isaiah 1:17. It says, "Learn to do right, seek justice, defend the oppressed." The curriculum uses this to show that the abolition movement wasn't just, dusty old history. It was an active, breathing response to a clear call for justice.
So, here's our flight plan for today. We'll be covering 1. The call to justice, 2. 3 heroes of abolition, 3. Strategies to end slavery, 4. The 13th Amendment, 5. A quick knowledge check, and finally, 6. Education with biblical morality.
Let's get right into it with Section 1, the call to justice.
Massive reform almost never starts with a majority. It usually kicks off with just a small, hyper-dedicated group of people who decide to stand up for what's right, despite immense danger. And make no mistake, speaking out against slavery meant risking your safety, your livelihood, and your freedom. But it was exactly that kind of rock-solid moral conviction that sparked a change across the entire nation.
Moving right along to Section 2, 3 heroes of abolition. First up, we have the incredible Frederick Douglass. Imagine escaping slavery, finally making it to the North, and instead of just staying quiet to protect your newly found safety, choosing to become a powerful writer and public speaker. That's exactly what he did. By sharing his own raw life story, he directly challenged the nation's conscience and inspired so many others to join the cause.
Next is William Lloyd Garrison. He was a white abolitionist and the fiercely passionate editor of The Liberator. Garrison's stance was absolutely uncompromising. He didn't just want a gradual phase-out. He demanded the immediate end to slavery and total equality for African Americans, using the press to constantly turn up the public pressure.
And then, of course, there's Harriet Tubman. Her bravery is just off the charts. After escaping slavery herself, she didn't just stay put. She courageously returned to the South over and over again. Risking her own freedom every single time, she led dozens of people to safety on the Underground Railroad, actively living out that call to defend the oppressed.
All right, Section 3, strategies to end slavery.
So how did they actually fight this massive system? Well, they relied on 4 main strategies. They used newspapers, like The Liberator, to spread the word far and wide. They held high-energy rallies and speeches to mobilize crowds. They also applied heavy political pressure through constant petitions to Congress. And, of course, they took direct, highly dangerous action by physically aiding escapes via the Underground Railroad.
But let's be real, this fight came with a heavy cost. Abolitionists face severe threats, literal mob violence, and serious legal punishment. It would have been so much easier to just give up. But their persistence, their absolute refusal to quit, that is what kept the movement alive when the odds were completely stacked against them.
Which brings us to Section 4, the 13th Amendment.
1865. That is the year you absolutely need to lock into your memory. This was the pivotal moment when everything changed. Decades of speeches, underground rescues, and incredibly dangerous organizing all culminated right at this exact point in history. Because in 1865, the 13th Amendment was passed, officially and legally abolishing slavery in the United States. This legal milestone was a massive, hard-fought victory. It was the ultimate proof that the abolitionists' moral conviction and relentless pressure actually paid off.
Okay, Section 5, your turn for a quick knowledge check.
Let's see what you remember. Question 1. Who was Frederick Douglass and why was he so important? Well, remember, he was the formerly enslaved man who brought the harsh, brutal reality of slavery directly to the public through his incredibly powerful writing and speaking.
Question 2. What newspaper did William Lloyd Garrison publish? Got it? It was The Liberator, which served as his loud, uncompromising platform for demanding immediate abolition and equality.
Question 3. How did Harriet Tubman help enslaved people escape? She literally put her life on the line, bravely returning to the South multiple times to lead dozens to freedom via the Underground Railroad. And finally, question 4. What is the 13th Amendment, and can you name 2 abolitionist strategies? Passed in 1865, that amendment officially ended slavery. And those strategies we discussed, they included newspapers, rallies and speeches, petitions to Congress, and the Underground Railroad. Let's wrap things up with Section 6, Education with Biblical Morality.
Our source leaves us with a really powerful reflection question to think about. How can ordinary people use courage and conviction to stand against injustice today? Because remember, the abolitionists were ordinary people who just made the choice to be brave. They really provide a template for defending the oppressed in our modern world.
This actually leads right into the core philosophy of the HeroesMart Godly Learner series, which argues, education without morality will hurt. The curriculum points out something fascinating. The defenders of slavery back then were often highly educated people, but they lacked biblical morality. So it asserts that learning history and being smart absolutely must be paired with doing what's right. Otherwise, what's the point?
The curriculum concludes with a promise from Romans chapter 8, verses 6 and 7, highlighting the peace of mind that comes to those who keep their mind spiritual. It really drives home the idea that pairing education with a deep, moral drive to seek justice benefits both the world and ourselves. So, as we close out this explainer today, I want to leave you with one final thought. Are you just going to be someone who knows a lot of history, or will you use that knowledge to be a hero of justice in your own lifetime?